Mhm.
Kane is in the building.
All right, so a little bit of theme music. Let's get this thing popping right here, y'all.
Welcome to the Mic is Hot with my pop
Kane is in
DJ
the building.
Thomas.
So greetings and welcome to the Mic is Hot, one of Atlanta's hottest sports podcasts in the state of Georgia. I'm your host, DJ Thomas, where we talk sports around the ATL. So tell a friend to tell a friend that the mic is hot right now. And without further ado, let me introduce you to my co-host.
Hey, Sherry.
Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Sherry Johnson. How about it? What's up, Sherry? Turn the sound down. Nice round of applause for Miss Sherry Johnson. Hey, folks, and I just want to welcome everybody in on Facebook out there. We're live on Facebook. Hey, Lenny, what's going on, buddy? I see you logged in on. So I got Sherry logged in, Lenny logged in. And I know a lot of people are watching watching the Georgia game is a rival in their town. Right now, we're going to kick off with, we're going to talk about Alabama. The Alabama Crimson Tide, the number one team in the country, going to be taking on Auburn University, number 6 team in the country. And Sherry's a big fan. Sherry's from Alabama. I'm originally from Alabama, so we're going to talk a little bit about Alabama and how we feel about that. So you guys, so we're live on Facebook. So if you want to comment, make sure you tag on the line. You send me a comment up, and we'll talk about what you want to talk about as well. But like I said, mainly we're talking about Alabama and Auburn right now. So, hey, Sherry, we hadn't talked in a long time. Last time we talked, I think we was at a family reunion. We're going to talk a little about this tie today and who we think going to win. I'm not going to ask you right now who you think going to win, but what do you think about Alabama right now as they was number one. They went down to number 2, and they're back at number 1 again. But they are playing number 6 team Auburn. How you feel about the tie today?
I'm optimistic because Auburn is really looking good here. I know that it might sound crazy for me that those words to come out of my mouth. However, let's keep it 100. Auburn is kicking some real football butt, and the Tide has to come out and be strong. We need, the defense to show up today. So, we got to keep our fingers crossed.
Good. I totally agree with that. I mean, like I said, I'm a Tide man first, and but as I look at this thing, hey, I got to be a realist. The way Auburn dominated Georgia in that game in Auburn, and I predicted that game. A lot of people didn't like it, even though I live here in Georgia now, and they didn't like the fact that I predicted Auburn over Georgia. But hey, I'm a realist. This team, I knew that Georgia and Auburn is a rival game as well. And Georgia, so being the number 1 team in the country at the time, that people would that it's like when you're number 1, everybody want to knock you off. I've seen Georgia play. To me, they haven't been playing a lot of big teams out there. But Auburn Tigers, man, even though they don't have the rankings, but hey, they have the ability to beat Alabama today. And right now, I'm like you. I'm kind of leaning that direction. I just want to say to anybody out there on Facebook think anything differently. If they think that the Tide can pull it off today, if you're watching on Facebook, hey, hit us up. Let me know. Give me your comment. Put it on the screen. I can see the screen. And like I said, we are live on Facebook. But let me go back and do a little bit of help people out to understand that if you are listening, we are live on Facebook. We're also live on, I think it's iTunes, TuneIn, and Google Earth. So the website is Spreaker.com / the mic is hot. So if you want to go on and listen to it live, if you want, of course, this show will be recorded so you can hear it after the show. But we are live right now. Let me put my paperwork in front of me here. Got a lot of information. Not much. But sure, I don't want to over-talk. I get on here and I get to talking, but I definitely want to hear your side of it. But how do you feel about that Auburn and Georgia game? How do you feel about it? Did you think that Auburn would beat Georgia, even though Georgia was number 1 at that time?
Well, I'm not a Georgia fan.
We know that. We know that. But I'm just saying. But, but I guess the point I'm making is that Georgia was ranked number 1 in the country and supposedly one of the best teams in the country. But did you think that Georgia had an opportunity to beat Auburn coming into Auburn, being the number 1 team in the country?
No, I felt like Auburn was going to beat Georgia. I felt like Georgia was highly overrated.
Uh-huh.
Of course, I almost had a slight heart attack and a stroke all at the same time when Georgia went to number 1 and knocked Alabama out of the number 1 seat.
Wow.
That was a bad feeling. And I didn't understand quite how they outranked Alabama, but my whole thing was that was the only time I remember in history me rooting for Auburn University because we wanted Georgia out. So the state had to stick together that weekend to make sure that, Georgia got ousted out. And it happened.
Go ahead. That's on my end. I got all this stuff going on here.
So we were really happy that Georgia got knocked out.
Well, and my thing was that I live here in Georgia now. I'm from Alabama originally. I said it before, and I'll say it again. I pull for Georgia when Georgia's playing, but I have to stick with my roots. Like most people in the NFL, you from Louisiana, wherever, you stick with your roots. And I had to go with the home team. And to me, sometimes I'm kind of stressed between Alabama and Auburn. I like both teams. Now we got Alabama playing Auburn together, so it's going to be kind of. I don't know really who I'm rooting for. I mean, I
can tell you who. Now listen. Let's keep it real.
Keep it real.
You know who you need to root for.
Yeah.
Because you have cousins that attended the University of Alabama with degrees.
You're right.
So hey. There's no orange and blue running throughout games over here.
I got you. Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is that, I really want to see the team. I want to see the Alabama put up the best team that has a chance of winning the national championship. Because what it's all about, this is a game, this is a rival game within the state, but it's also something bigger outside of the state. The SEC championship game, which whoever win this game will end up playing Georgia in the SEC championship game and possibly end up playing for the national championship. And out of the two teams, whoever wins, I still would like to see, one of the teams, either Alabama or Auburn, win the national championship. So let me ask you a question. I know you're firm Alabama, but if Auburn somehow wins, would you pull for them in the SEC championship game?
No, sir.
Hey, look, tell me why.
There's no way that I would be able to. That's just a question that's unheard of.
Okay.
Now, I dated a man one time whose son played for Auburn.
Okay.
And I have to say that I had a temporary psychotic going on at that time because I actually pulled for his son. Now, I will tell you that it was the love for his son outweighed the rivalry that year. But we're not together anymore, so I don't cheer for Auburn at all.
Okay.
Ever.
Well, I just want to remind the folks out there on Facebook Live, if you listen to it, we're actually talking about rival week here in college football, and right here down deep south, Alabama versus Auburn. Of course, Georgia is playing Georgia Tech today. Let's see what kind of score we got. I'm sure you guys are watching the game. If not, if you're at home, you're working and can't see it, let's see what kind of score I got. Actually, right now, the score is Georgia 14, Georgia Tech 7. And let me just kind of veer off just a minute on that one for you Georgia fans out there. If Georgia Tech, most people think that Georgia Tech don't have a chance to win this ball game. Hey, when it comes to rival weeks, regardless of Alabama, whoever you're playing, there's a chance for any team to win because this thing runs deep in any series. But if you guys are listening, you're tuning on Facebook, I see people coming in and going out. Hey, send us a comment up on the screen. Let us know that you hear us. If you can't hear us or you can't hear us, let me know. Who's your team? Who are you pulling for on rival week? Are you pulling for Georgia? Are you pulling for Kentucky, Ohio, whoever you're pulling for this week? Just send me a little shout out on that and let me know. I totally understand where you're coming from on that, Sherry. But like I said before, I know it's hard to pull against the team, your team. And like I said, for me, it's a little bit easier because I'm not there. I mean, I got Alabama hat. I wear it some of the time. I got Auburn. I mean, we got good players came out of Alabama. I had my son with some kids. My son went to school with some kids that I knew personally that went to Auburn. So that's kind of how I'm stuck with Auburn as well as Alabama, because I know kids that went to high school here in Georgia that went to Auburn as well as University of Alabama. Of course, we all know Julio Jones, one of the best in the NFL, is playing as a Falcon, and I'm sure he's sitting down watching the game day. Actually, I had a comment from Julio. If I had time, I'll play it, and he commented on Alabama and Nick Saban as well. But this game, so what are your plans today for this game, Sherry? What are you planning on doing? Are you going to sit down? You going to go to a sports bar? You going to have a spread, or what do you got some people over? What you going to do for the game today?
Well, I've been invited to 5 different viewing parties.
Wow.
Alabama parties. So I am going to roll with my god sisters this weekend and watch the game with them. It's going to be probably about 10 of us watching the game.
Right. Okay.
And so we're going to have some pizza and chips and salsa and red velvet cake and.
So tell people the significance behind the red velvet cake.
Oh, it's just there's no significance.
The color. I mean, when I'm picking up when you said red velvet cake.
Crimson and white. I hear you.
And red velvet is closer to the crimson red than I know of, right?
That's right.
I wish I was down there to go with you guys, Sherry. I really would, man. And we're gonna sit here at my house. My wife and I, she's cooking upstairs, and so she's getting ready. So we're gonna sit down and watch the game. Actually, I bought me a brand new 4K television, so I want to watch it in high definition today.
Oh, wow.
That ball game. Yeah, so that was my Christmas present to me. You know how men are, but loving it. Let me ask you this: I know you probably really don't care that much, but then in Georgia, throughout the league, are there any teams out there that you have been looking at, or you think, for example, the Georgia and Georgia Tech ball game? You have any comment on that? Who you think will win that ball game?
I think Georgia is probably going to pull it out, but let me tell you what the upset was. Miami. That was a real upset against Pitt the other night, and I hate it for the kids. More than anything, we say rivalry. It's all in fun.
Right.
But a lot of kids they strive to get to the national championship.
Right.
You've got a dominant team like Alabama. We just knock the other teams out. So,
right.
Of course, there's a lot of heartbreak going on, and I just hope that there's no heartbreak going on today with us, with the Pride. Right.
Hey, I got a little song I want to play. I found this a little earlier. I think you will like it. This is involving the Tide. I don't know. I don't think it's put out by the school, but I think it's put out by some group or somebody in Alabama. I'm going to play a little bit of this, and then we're going to get back to our conversation. But let me say this before I kick this off real good. For you folks out there listening on Facebook Live, like I said, send us a text, send us a score prediction. If you have a score, if you think that Alabama will beat Auburn or Auburn will beat Alabama, send us your prediction live on Facebook, and I'll make sure I shout it out. I promise you I'll shout it out to let people know how you feel about that game. Or or Georgia and Georgia Tech. Right now, the score at halftime is Georgia Tech 7, Georgia 14. So this is a lot of people thought it was going to be a blowout ball game. This is turned out to be a pretty close ball game. But I'm going to play this music for you, and I want you to hear this and tell me what you think about it, okay?
Okay.
Who you rolling with? Who you rolling with? We rolling with the Tide. We roll with the crimson and white. Who you rolling with? We rolling with the Tide. We roll with the crimson and white. Here we go again. It's that time of year where all we do is win. 'Cause we the Crimson Tide. 100,000 plus fans always down the ride. We ain't what you want. Think about it, bruh. What your coach says. All right, team. I know the
All right, Sherry. I gotta stop that. That's a pretty good song. Who you rolling with? This guy's huh? Have you heard that?
Roll Tide.
Have you heard that before?
No, I haven't. I like that.
These guys on YouTube. Let me see if I spell his name. I something. ICECIBCIDBRUTHA. Roberta, whatever. But I want to make sure I get those guys credit because I'm playing them on my show, and of course YouTube will make sure they get credit. So that was a really nice song, and I was gonna play the original verse of Alabama and Auburn theme song, but hey, that didn't hit it too good for me. But I know we're not gonna make this a whole long show tonight. We're just gonna get that prediction in. So, are you ready to give your prediction of this ball game, or you or what?
I'm ready.
Hold on. Let me get my pen. Let me get my pen. I gotta write this down. Okay. Sherry Johnson says,
I predict Alabama over Auburn 24-17.
24-17. You heard it, folks. Sherry Johnson says 24-17. I'm afraid to even say what I predict, Sherry.
Oh no.
You don't want to hear it.
No, I want to hear it. Go ahead.
You know what? But before I get my prediction, I want to say a few things about my prediction, so give people a little bit more of understanding. Let me go back to my stats here on Alabama and Auburn, because one thing I do right now, and I mean last week and the last couple weeks in the NFL, I've been predicting heavily in the NFL, and I'm not bragging, but I've been pretty much on it. I predicted the Falcons' last two ball games that people thought they would lose to Seattle. I predict they win that ball game, and most of the time I predict stuff is based on their injuries and you know people their strengths and their weaknesses, and of course like I said, what was the Seattle game? Who did we play before the Seattle? Who did the Falcons play before Seattle? I can't remember off the top of my head, but I predicted that game as well, which a lot of people thought they had no chance. This game right now, if you look at the stats wise, Alabama pretty much, it says I'm looking at a prediction, a matchup, and Alabama matchup is 60.7% to 39% over Auburn. Alabama has a lot of injuries. I can't name all the injuries they got, but they got a lot of injuries on the team. And I've been watching them play. You know, one thing Nick Saban does is he knows how to win football games. He's like he has the formula. Of course, I could say Belichick and Nick Saban is two of the people that you really don't want to. If you were betting on a game, you really don't want to bet against them because they know the formula. And Alabama and Auburn is such tough rivalry for years. I mean, you know, usually if a team if a coach loses to a team two years in a row, he might not have a job next year. Am I correct?
Absolutely.
But when it comes to quarterbacks, I mean, right now, Jalen Hurts, he has 1,800 yards, and the quarterback at Auburn has 2,400 yards. Touchdowns, Auburn quarterback has 16. The last name is what is his last name? Strahan or something like that. 16 touchdowns, 4 INTs. Jalen Hurts has 14 touchdowns and 1 INT. Receiving wise, rushing wise, Alabama got 855 yards compared to Auburn 1,172. Receiving yards, Alabama probably is higher on that list of 858 yards compared to Auburn 564 yards and 5 TDs, which of course Alabama had 3 TDs. It looks lopsided, I think, and even in these stats alone, these are seasoned leaders in the stats that Auburn were leading in most of these stats because I don't know, I just like what they played football. Again, I said my prediction that goes back, and the way I'm looking at this thing is that I want to see the team that has a better chance of winning a national championship. You know, I want to keep it in Alabama if I can. I don't want to go outside. I don't want to go to Georgia. I don't want to go to any other SEC teams. Can we agree on that? Sherry, did I lose? Did I lose?
No, I'm here. My mouth is hung open right now. I'm trying to figure out where you're going with this.
Well, I'm trying to break it down for you. Of course, like I said, before I come out and say something, but I'm looking at stats and I'm looking at how teams are playing out right now. One thing that happened when Georgia became the number one team in the country, a lot of time the people that rank teams, they rank them based on how bad you beat another team. I mean, you know, Georgia has Sony Michel and they have Nick Chubb, two of the tough running backs, and they got, of course, a couple of decent receivers. So that's why Georgia moved to the top. But my reason that I predicted Georgia would lose was because, basically Auburn is a tough, hard-nosed team coming into Auburn. You know, I know you're saying you're beating around the bush. Get to the point, right? But I'm trying to make a point. I think this game gonna come down to a field goal. You know, in most cases, most times it does. Most time it does because this year, compared to years past, you got two good teams coming out. Both teams are, I think equally, regardless of their ranking, they're both equally talented, and I think it's going to be a good close ball game. One thing about Nick Saban, you know, in the fourth quarter, if you keep it close, there's a good chance that he'll pull it out. So, you might not want to talk about this. So, I think both teams will score and they'll score well, but because of Alabama injuries, I think Auburn might pull this one off. I'll say 31-27. Auburn.
You are.
And it's not personal. I prefer, again, I say it's not personal. I prefer Alabama to win. I'm looking at it from statistic wise and based on talent. Huh?
In all honesty, we do have a lot of injuries going into today's game. You know, I'm really worried about Mika Fitzpatrick and Mika struggles. He's been struggling with his injuries, but we need Mika to show up today. And if at any point that Mika is out, I think the Tide is going to be in trouble.
Wow.
That's what.
So who's this guy? Which one? Who are we speaking of again? What was it?
Mika Fitzpatrick.
Let me see. Can I pull them up? What position he plays?
I think a defensive end.
Okay. And what bothers me, I like Hurts. I like how he scrambled. I like how he got the pocket. I like how he finally got down the field. But I think if Auburn started to put pressure on him, it's going to affect Alabama's game because I think what they did to Georgia, they just hammered. They hammered the quarterback, even though the guy was a rookie. But they got pressure on the quarterback, and it, same thing for most teams, and it made it a long day. And that's one thing I want you to watch this ball game. If the quarterback is being pressured a lot early in the ball game, I think it's gonna make a big difference. And I think that's what, if I was a coach, that's what I would tell my defense. Hey, let's get pressure on this quarterback, and it'll change a lot of stuff in the secondary and even with the running game.
Yeah.
But
Saban is gonna have to show up early today.
Yes.
I know. You know that Nick Saban is a very smart man.
Exactly.
He knows what he's up against.
Yep.
You know, of course, Alabama plays its best in the second half when they are, you know, they've got pressure up against them.
Right.
They don't show up well in the first half.
Right.
It's always been like that. But,
Right.
you know, Nick takes them in the locker room. He gives them that pep talk and a joke. And they come out and they play their best. So I'm not really worried about it today.
Okay.
I will say, either way, you know, the Iron Bowl is great fun. A lot of money is riding on it. You know, when Las Vegas gets involved, you know we got something. But what makes me proudest is all of these kids. The world is watching the Iron Bowl today.
The world is watching.
It's the biggest bowl game in the history of college football, and it's all about Alabama. So for me, roll Tide.
You know, and something else, I spoke with a Georgia fan today, and I think they said they wanted to see Auburn win because they wanted a second chance. Well, you know, and number one, they don't want to see Alabama. Nobody wants to see Alabama in the SEC championship game. I think they feel the odds. They feel they will be better off playing Auburn in the SEC championship game and give them a better chance to win for the championship. So teams out there, Alabama put fear. Should I say Nick Saban put fear in a lot of people's hearts when they come to playing those guys. Now, like I said, this game is close. It is what it is. If the games come,
you know what that's called?
What's that?
Do you know what that's called? That's called excellence.
Excellence.
That's called excellence.
Hey, I can't argue with you. I can't argue with you. I would love to be in Alabama today to see this ball game. I haven't been to one yet. You know, mostly I'm at the Falcons game, but maybe in the next couple of years I'm gonna try to get to one of these ball games because you know it's something about being. I've been to a Georgia and Georgia Tech ball game, and the atmosphere is just electrifying all around you. And there's nothing like the crowd and you know everybody pumped up and two rival teams are playing, you know. So it's one game that you wouldn't want to miss. And I think everybody should have an opportunity to go to at least one, you know.
Oh yes, it's an amazing feeling. I don't do Iron Bowl in Auburn for obvious reasons. It's cold and drafty, and I just don't like it. But next year we will be rolling with the Tide in T-Town.
Well, maybe we all hook up next year. That might be something that we need to do because all I got to do is get my people. I get my people to make a phone call up there, and I'll have press credentials, and maybe we can get in there and you know we'll meet up and do a tailgate before the ball game and have a good time and talk a little trash.
That sounds like a plan.
So we're gonna wrap this thing up. So I'm gonna go back and let's see recap here. Sherry Johnson said Alabama will roll over Auburn 24-17 in a final of the rival of the Iron Bowl in Auburn. If it's in Alabama, I probably would have predicted something different. But it's in Auburn.
It's in Auburn.
In Auburn. That's what happened, and that's what happened to Georgia as well. I keep going back to Georgia because if the Georgia game would have been in Georgia, I probably would have picked it different. And I think this year especially, I think that's going to be. Some people say that home field advantage doesn't make a difference, but I believe the home field is going to make a big difference. You know, being in Auburn this year. And of course, my prediction was that Auburn would win 31-27, based on the fact that the way they've been playing this year, and I still feel that I feel that Alabama and Auburn should be number one against number two. But I would rather see the Tide win. I'm not going to be upset if they win. I'm not picking it because I like Auburn better than I like the other team. I'm picking it because I feel based on talent and how they've been playing that Auburn has a home field advantage, I should say. A home field advantage.
Yeah.
Is anybody out there on Facebook that feels differently? If you give me your score, your prediction between Alabama and Auburn in the next 2-3 minutes, because we're gonna be going out there, I will shout you out. And if not, you can send it to me. You can send it later. This broadcast will be broadcast later on Spreaker as well. But Sherry, it's been a hot show, and I appreciate you. Like I said, we this is our first time getting together, and I meant to get with you earlier this year, but right now, it was not the last time. Of course, when Alabama, hopefully Alabama make the SEC championship and playing in the national championship game, we'll talk again. We'll do a little talking about that game and depending on who they're playing. But one thing I wanted to point out that I didn't say earlier, I believe that Alabama has a better chance in the national championship game than Auburn would, regardless of who they're playing. You know, I think they have much better chance being Nick Saban as a coach.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah. So do I.
So what we're gonna do? We're gonna close this thing. I'm going back to what we started off with that good Alabama music. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready. Roll Tide.
Cause we the Crimson Tide, 100,000 plus fans always down the ride. We ain't what you want, think about it, bruh. When you
Folks, this is DJ Thomas with the Mic is Hot. I want to thank you guys for joining the show today, about 2 hours before kickoff with Alabama and Auburn at the Iron Bowl. It's going to be in Auburn. You have your team, we have ours. We look forward to this every year, but this is just a rival. Keep in mind, the national championship hasn't been decided yet. SEC championship hasn't been decided yet. So regardless of how you feel, hey, sit down with a friend, have a nice drink, have some nice food, eat some red velvet cake like Sherry, and enjoy the game, folks. I'm DJ Thomas. God is good all the time, and all the time God is good. We'll see you guys next time on The Mic is Hot. Thanks, Sherry. We'll talk to you later, okay? Can you hear me?
It's open season, y'all. Bama's known for breeding beasts who hunt the
Hey, sports fans.